we welcome our party treasurer, George Swindell. He's been with the party for as long as I can remember, and I'm sure he goes back even further than that. Good morning, George.
Good morning, Bill.
Thank you for joining me. Now, one thing that I noticed about you right away is that you do not come with a Southern accent. Why is that?
Well, I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. I moved down here in 1978. It was job related. The company I was working with, Park Davis, which was about a 130-year-old pharmaceutical company headquartered in Detroit, in Michigan, merged with Warner Lambert. So they were starting to shut down most of the operations in Detroit and in Michigan even. So I was offered a job down here. I came down here with the hospital products division. Now, most of the old timers know that at that time Park Davis owned the Capsugel plant.
Now, were you already married to Kathy at the time that you moved?
Yes. I came down with Kathy, and our two girls were 3 years old and 6 years old. So they're hybrids, I guess. You know.
Do they have Southern accents?
They a little bit, and they can turn it on and off as you.
So you're retired. How long have you been retired?
Yes, actually, I'm 10 years.
Okay.
It's hard to believe. Yeah.
Now, in addition to your Democratic Party duties, I know you're a very busy volunteer with your fingers in a lot of different pots. What else are you involved in?
Well, currently I always get stuck with the treasurer's position. I'm treasurer of the Greater Greenwood Parks and Trails Foundation. I'm treasurer of the Sertoma Club. They're known around town for the Christmas trees.
Right.
And at the request of somebody that I worked with at Fuji, I helped them a little nonprofit get started called Voice of the Children's Foundation. They kind of deal with the foster parents, and they support the family guardian ad litem program here in Greenwood.
Well, we certainly are grateful for all you've done for the Democratic Party. I mean, you've not just been the treasurer, but you've volunteered for a lot of activities. You've also been a crucial inside person to get us the Magnolia Park and other venues when we need it. So don't know what we would have done without you. So thank you for all you do.
Well, and actually, Bill, I share something with you. I've never really been active involved in politics. I've always felt I kept informed, and I've always voted. But with what's happening, it's just awful.
Well, I asked George to speak with us today. He had offered to give a little presentation about what's happening at the state level and the budget that's being proposed. And George, being a numbers guy, he's only second to me for love of spreadsheets, as I've come to find out. Yeah. And he's compiled some numbers. And so we're going to take a look at what I guess is called the executive budget for the state of South Carolina for this upcoming year.
Yes.
So let's start at the top. How much money does South Carolina get to play with?
Well, the proposed budget from the governor, and this is the governor's proposed budget, but this is based on revenue projections. $30,199,000,000. I was surprised at the size of it, but that's what it is. So it's a $30 billion budget.
There's nothing to sneeze at.
No.
And where's that money come from?
Well, and this is what kind of got me interested to look at it deeper. You know, when I found out that 30% of the funding for South Carolina comes from the federal government.
No kidding.
That's over $9 billion. You know, and of course, this is a state that doesn't think well of the federal government, but apparently they're perfectly willing to take all the money that they can get.
So while we're talking about federal funding, can we jump to the end and do that quick comparison of the different states and what states in the country receive what funding from the federal
Okay.
government? Because I
Okay.
thought that was absolutely fascinating.
Okay. Well, just in an overall view, it's not surprising, but uh, blue states pay about 1.5 times the amount of taxes the red states do. And I got that slide in there. Also, I found some other information. I think most of us remember, who were paying attention, Mitch McConnell's comment about no blue state bailouts. And
Right.
of course, Governor Cuomo called him out on it in national TV, and that's the chart he used. And there's a chart in there that shows Kentucky is number 2.
Oh.
So South Carolina is actually number 7. So out of 50 states, we're number 7 in state dependency on the federal government or federal funds. It's
Right.
State of South Carolina garners most, or more than half of their monies that are used for the lower income people come from the federal government.
Right. So is that the on the next slide with the map of the United States and the different colors? What do the colorings represent here?
Okay, that's the what they call the balance of payment, and that's what a state gets back for every dollar that they send to Washington in taxes. This is what they get back. So as you can see, like up in the top right-hand corner, 0.91. That's New York. So New York gets 91 cents back for every dollar
No kidding.
that they send.
And
Yes,
looking at South Carolina gets back $1.71 for every dollar
$1.71.
it spends.
So we're
That's
not,
incredible.
and again, that deep blue, just above South Carolina and to the left, that's Kentucky.
Right.
So there you go.
The hypocrisy is just, it knows no bounds. Go back up to the top then and dive a little deeper into the different buckets of the $30.2 billion budget for South Carolina. So we're now looking at the executive budget appropriations, all funding sources. So this is where we're going to spend the $30.2 billion, right?
Correct. And there's really 2 big buckets for this thing. The biggest bucket is health and social services. That's 38%. That's all the public assistance, SNAP programs, things like that. Then the other big hitter is higher education is 20%, and K-12 education is 18%. So that's another 38%.
All right, so let's take a look at the source of funding then. So how do they get the $30.2 billion?
Okay, again, 42.4% of it comes from personal income taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And 30.9 comes from the general sales tax, and there's another 15.8 that comes from a selective sales tax. That's like tax on cars, boats. So basically, the 2 major sources are the personal income tax and the sales tax.
To be honest, I am absolutely surprised that the corporate tax is such a small portion. I would have thought.
Well, they've been working on that for years. I mean, this state bills itself as a business friendly state.
Right.
Bill, the one comment that I want to make here. Looking forward, the governor in his write-up is he wants to eliminate for the personal income tax, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to create a big hole. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they and it's we don't have enough time to get in here, but every year, like grant a few more credits and exemptions. So, but that's going to be a big, you know, a creepy hole.
Well, I would like to wrap up and go to the end here and talk about what you have found where South Carolina is misappropriating federal funds. And you brought up two examples. Can we go into that in a little bit more depth? What did you find?
Yeah. Now that's, of course, I'm not a lawyer. That's and that's my opinion.
Okay. All right.
But the Mirror Kill situation is, I'm with the Voice of Children Foundation, so I kind of keep up with that kind of stuff. Well, they're a faith-based organization, and the Department of Social Services wanted to contract with them to recruit and screen foster parents. That was something that was done by the Department of Social Services, but that was something that they wanted outsourced. Well, it's a faith-based agency that uses federal funds to do that. That's one of the, that's part of the $9 billion from the Fed. So they said, nah, you can't do that because it's a faith-based organization, and it's direct. It doesn't make it right or wrong. It is what it is. And Governor McMaster got an exemption from President Trump. So there you go. And that was, and of course, within 30 days, the group had disqualified a same-sex couple, which is not surprising. They disqualified a Jewish couple, and then Bill, they made a big mistake of disqualifying a Catholic couple.
Oh.
And this lady had been fostering all her life, blah blah blah. So she sued him.
Right.
There you go.
And then there's the very well publicized attempt to use COVID funds for private schools. What happened there?
Yeah, this was. I kind of consider this really on the verge of being literally unconscionable. First, it was a tranche of money that came from the government back at the start of the COVID. They allocated $48 million for public schools. The governor proposed to use $32 million of that for direct subsidies to people who send their kids to private schools, to offset, that cost. And of course, he was immediately sued by a lawyer and a couple of folks out of Orangeburg, and it didn't take long in the Supreme Court to say no, you can't do that. Well, that was in October. Well, in December, the governor appealed, and in this particular article, the Supreme Court stopped them again. So that's and I think those are the kind of examples that as long as Republicans are in control of the state, it's going to be a constant push on this.
Well, we always tend to think about our legislators working on laws, and that's what government's in charge of. But spending money, collecting money, allocating money, that's another big portion that we should be having a watchful eye towards. And George, thank you very much for helping educate us a little bit today. And I'll have George's full deck available in a link in our notes afterwards that you can review it on your own time. So, George, thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Well, that was painless.
Yeah, it